safe storage of firearms, right? Take a, we have more people that need a copy? Does everyone have a copy? Hard copy, everyone has a copy? Okay. Here we are about safe storage of firearms. And you know what? This whole thing about registering firearms in the state of Michigan, it has a very sordid, dirty history associated with it. It really does. There was a time in this country in which gun rights were not a high priority for a lot of different people. Here in the city of Detroit back in the 20s, there was a physician. There was a gentleman by the name of Ossian Sweet. He was a native son of the city. He went down south to learn to be a doctor, went to medical school, came back home to Detroit, Michigan, and he wanted to start a practice. He wanted to serve his community. Dr. Ossian Sweet was a black man. He lived in a black community. The city of Detroit was highly segregated during that time. During that time era, the modern civil rights movement haven't really gotten off the ground and really achieved a certain level of activity to make significant change during that era in the 20s. You know, we still had segregation and Jim Crow and a lot of those other unfortunate crimes during that era. But Dr. Sweet, after working as a physician in his community, he started to become very successful. He was serving a community that was underserved. So he was very popular and he achieved a lot of success. And after a period of time, he felt that a man of his stature and a man of his success should have the trappings of that success. He should be able to afford a certain lifestyle, and he wanted to do nicer things for his family. It's not anything different than anyone else would want to do. You want a better way of life for yourself. You go to school, you get a job, you make some money, and you start spending it on your family, and you start acquiring possessions. This is the natural order of things. And so after he achieved a certain level of success, he felt that he should have a home befitting his stature and his status in the community. So he found a house over on Virgil Street here in the city of Detroit. This was a home in a deed-restricted community. Basically, on the written document, the deed, it had a deed restriction. It stated that this home could not be sold to a black person or to a black family. Well, Dr. Sweet was not going to be deterred. He made some contacts in the community he selected to reside in. He found a couple that was eager to sell. Now, to this couple, the only color that mattered was green. It wasn't the person's skin color. It wasn't whether they were white. It wasn't because they were black. He successfully executed the sales transaction. When Dr. Sweet and his wife and he brought his brother, his wife, and another couple of friends to come over and to help him move in and to stay in that residence. Dr. Sweet had heard some rumors of what things were like in that community, and he was hoping that nothing negative or bad would occur. Well, when word got out that a black family had bought that home and they moved into that house, unfortunately at nightfall, a huge crowd of people started gathering on the grounds of their residence. And every night this incident unfolded. However, with each additional night, there were more and more people that were congregating outside of the home. According to documented resources such as newspapers that were operating during that era, on this night in question, there were no less than 500 people outside of this home protesting. get out, move, leave, and some other choice things that I won't mention. But here's the thing. The operative idea was they wanted them gone. And there were even law enforcement officers that were watching this mob outside of the home, chanting certain things and basically ordering them to leave that community and to abandon their home. One particular night, there was an individual from the mob who fired into the sweet home. Once he fired his firearm into the sweet house, the sweets returned fire. That returned fire killed 2 men that were in the mob. At that point, the police that were there on the scene observing this mess, they decided to take action. They took action by storming the residence. As they stormed the residence, they arrested everyone inside, and they arrested them, and they were going to interrogate them and proceed to prepare a package to charge them with assorted crimes. Now, in this era, you have to keep in mind that we don't have many of the legal protections that we have today. Miranda had not even existed yet. We all know what Miranda is, right? That is your right to remain silent. You cannot be forced to incriminate yourself. You could say, look, I have a right to remain silent and I'm doing that. Well, they didn't have that during this era. They could basically question you all throughout the evening or do whatever they need to do from an interrogation standpoint to get the information they needed from you to prosecute you. Things that we frown upon now, things that are illegal now, but you still hear about people violating their rights to remain silent. Even this very day, you hear about cases from time to time. So anyway, this case started to get a lot of notoriety, and a lot of famous people of that era associated with Detroit were involved. As a matter of fact, the person who was the chief judge in this case was no longer than Frank Murphy. Frank Murphy, his name is on the building downtown. He went on to become mayor of Detroit. Later, he became the United States Supreme Court Justice. Let's see, the NAACP got involved because they thought it would be a good idea if they could fundraise for Dr. Sweet, and they were able to secure the services of famous attorney. Rick, you have a memory fog again. The Scopes trials. Who was it that did the Scopes trials? It'll come to me in a minute. So anyway, they secured this famous world-renowned attorney to represent the Sweets, Dr. Sweet.
Darrell?
Yes. Yes.
Clarence
Darrell, yes. Thank you. Clarence Darrell was actually the defense attorney, and they prosecuted what they felt was then the case of the century. This was the biggest news, it was national news, and it happened right here in the city of Detroit. And case proceeded. By the time it was resolved, it resulted in a verdict. An all-white jury of 12 men acquitted Dr. Sweet of shooting and killing those 2 people that were attacking his home. And this became the proverbial castle doctrine case. This was the case that defined that your home is your castle and you have no duty to retreat from your home if someone is attacking you at home. So, very historic case. However, one of the things that happened as a consequence was this case that happened in 1925 in the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan, in its infinite wisdom, decided to enact the Michigan Firearms Act of 1927. And this was the most draconian set of anti-gun legislation that had ever happened in the state of Michigan. And as a matter of fact, it was ahead of its time in the country
about some of the sweeping things that it required people to do. It created the infamous county gun boards, where every county had a gun board. Some of you had CPLs in the era of the county gun boards, right? And you remember that you had to apply before those boards, and the results from those county boards varied from county to county. They had so-called community standards. If you lived on farm country, if you lived out in the suburbs, they gave them pretty much to anybody that wanted them. If you were in a predominantly minority community, or a community that had a lot of minorities in it, it was very discretionary. And by discretionary, that means that you just can't apply for it and get it if you meet some very basic uniform standards. Okay? And so, predictably, this system of discrimination existed in this country, in the state of Michigan, all the way up until 2001. Michigan struck down one of the few last remaining Jim Crow laws here in the state of Michigan. And with that, we got our shall issue licensing scheme here in the state of Michigan. One of the holdouts from the Jim Crow era, that's where this law came from, handgun registration. That's how we got handgun registration in the state of Michigan. And this law has persisted in Detroit for a long time. As a matter of fact, Detroit is only one of a handful of cities that have this handgun registration law. Let me give you a hint. The other cities in this country in which this handgun registration law exists are in cities that are predominantly populated by black people. Yes, I'm telling you very plainly and very bluntly, it's a racist gun law. That's the sole basis for which it was created, and it still exists on the books. And it really unnerves me when I see black politicians, particularly the Democrats. I'm not picking on them because they're Democrats. I'm picking on them because they're hypocritically black people fighting for gun laws that was used against black people to discriminate against them. It's like they don't know their history. And the thing about history is, if you don't know it, is that you're doomed to repeat it. Accordingly, a couple of days ago, we repeated that racist history of requiring registration of guns. Now it not only applies to pistols, but now it also applies to these background checks that we need to be performed on long guns, rifles, and shotguns when we purchase our new firearms. Right? So, that gave you the long, sordid, dirty history of these gun laws that exist. So, here is a matrix, and all a matrix is like a graph. On one axis, like up and down, you have the category of the firearm, like pistol, or whether it's a long gun, or whether it's a shotgun. And across the top of the matrix, you have the situation, right? The situation, for example, in our first rectangle at the top, I don't have it on the board, but our first rectangle in the upper left-hand corner concerns itself with a pistol. A pistol which is a non-FFL seller. A non-FFL seller is someone who's not a gun dealer. So if we have a person who's not a gun dealer, and we have a situation in which there is a private buyer, and the buyer has a CPL, then if he's purchasing a pistol, the only change in the current law is that the seller is responsible to submit the completed RI-60. you all know what the RI-60 is. When you purchase the firearm, you have to go get it signed and you turn it in to your local police department. And you turn it into the local police department so they can do what? So they can put it in the lien system, and so that your handgun is essentially registered in the system, right? All of our handguns are in the computer system. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So if on a traffic stop, what's one of the things you're, as a CPL holder, what's one of the things that you're immediately required to do? You have to immediately disclose that you have a CPL and that you have a gun. And then, of course, you know, you do what was taught to you in your CPL class. Go slow, take your time, check and make sure the other officer knows what's going on. Don't make any sudden moves. At the risk of irritating the officer, over communicate, right? Follow all instructions and all of that, right? So, if we go down one rectangle, we're talking, well, let me go completely across. Let's just do all pistols first. Okay, so if we go over to the next column, we're talking about a non-FFL seller. That is, this is a person who is not a gun dealer. We're talking about a pistol, right? It's a private buyer, and the buyer does not have a CPL. In this case, the only change in the law is that the seller is required to submit the completed RI-60 form. Right? The RI-60, or whatever they're going to call it in the future, because the RI-60 was the pistol sales record form. Well, this may get renamed to a firearm record sale. So we'll see when they come out with these forms what they actually are. Okay?
I see in both those situations the same. You said only the seller in both of those cases has to submit the R1.
RI-60?
Yeah.
Let's
In
see.
the first column or second column, is it only in the first column? Is it supposed to be only the buyer?
Only change is the seller who's responsible.
The both sellers.
Okay. Okay, same situation.
This is a different form. Oh, two
Okay.
different forms. Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Oh, R1. Oh, okay.
Next column. FFL seller. Private buyer. Buyer has a CPL. Only change is the seller is responsible to submit the completed RI-60 form. FFL still must run a mixed background check. Okay? Next column. We're just hitting the columns one at a time. I really like this matrix. I didn't create this matrix, by the way, so don't say that I created it and I came across it. I was like, hey, this is great. I could use this in my class. If anyone, by the way, if you're seeing this video on YouTube, right? If you know who the author is, please forward that information to me. I'll make sure I give him proper attribution and credit. Last column. Again, pistol. FFL seller, private buyer, buyer does not have a CPL. Oh, here's my speaker. Seeing where he's at, right? I have another speaker. Hello? No, I haven't. What's up? You still coming? Okay, so what are you telling me? That you're not coming? I'm doing like my last topic, man. If you're not like in the neighborhood, you're not going to make the class. You gave me your assurances you were going to do this. And what was the text? That you're not coming? Well, still, even if you texted me this morning, you still didn't show up when you said you were going to, whether you texted me or not. I mean, I really don't see how this is my problem. We talked about this days ago. Well, you know what?
yeah, okay, yeah, thank you for your apology. It doesn't solve the problem. Have a nice day. Thank you. I apologize for my behavior. I promise to refund you everything that you paid to attend this class.
We're giving you our gun lives back.
Anyway, right, last column. Let me tell you, grin and bear it, push through, right? No bad news is going to change my mood, right?
Woosah.
Woosah, is that how you do it? FFL seller, private buyer, buyer does not have a CPO. Buyer must first obtain a LTP RI-10. That's this new form, right?
What does that do?
This is what you're going to use to, yes.
On the RI-10, it's calling for a notary. Wow.
Okay, well, maybe you'll have to get it notarized, I guess.
That's gonna be a pain.
It's a permission slip.
Well, this fits in the theme of everything we've been talking about,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know, these gun laws do not respect you.
No.
They make you subservient to the government. You must comply to get certain privileges. It's not like the Constitution actually means what it says, right?
This is even applying to non-FFL holders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to get it notarized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. FFL does not have to run a NICS background check, but it is not prohibited from doing so, but cannot complete the sale until the buyer first has an LTP. That's this RI-010. I really like this document because it's all laid out exactly what the situation applies. And of course, now we're going to start talking about long guns. Long guns is either a rifle or a shotgun. The first column, last row. Long guns for a non-FFL seller, private buyer, buyer has a CPO. This RI-060 for possible used new Michigan State Police form to be determined, right? They're still working, must be completed by the seller. Includes seller's CPL number. No paperwork submission required after the sale. This was a huge question that I was getting from a lot of people. They wanted to know. This was like the #1 question we were getting. So we finally have an answer. Second column, non-FFL seller, private buyer, buyer does not have a CPO. We have buyer must first obtain this LTP, this RI-10, no paperwork submission required after the sale. Okay. Third column, FFL, private buyer, buyer has a CPL. FFL must run a NICS background check unless buyer has first obtained an LTP, which is not required for long guns. Here we go, additional note. RI-60, possible new form, Michigan form, hasn't been to be developed, right? Must be completed by FFL, but is not required to be submitted after the sale. And this is the same exact situation for the last column, which is the FFL seller, private buyer, buyer does not have a CPO. So here we have it in this nice, handy dandy matrix. I detest and I abhor it that we have now extended the process. There's some things that are different to long guns, but from a personal historical level, it is a gun law that was created back in the day under the guises of protecting races. So I really don't have a lot of affinity for that. Any questions on registering guns?
Are your already purchased long guns, are they exempt from all this stuff?
Yes. Thank God. But you know what? Hold your breath. They still got time.
As of right now, yeah. But who knows? Who knows what's coming? And I'm not saying that tongue in cheek, I'm saying it as reality. If they control every branch of the government, they can do whatever they want. And since they control the state Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court can say, yeah, that was constitutional. Yes.
A lot of that came out from the, right after the Black Panthers showed up on California State House with rifles, right?
A lot of what? Gun control in general?
And long rifles in particular.
Well, long guns are not a problem in Michigan, right? Haven't been a problem. It's only now when this state, in its infinite wisdom, decided that we needed to more tightly control and track handguns. But see, here's one of the interesting things. If you actually do the research, you do the research on how people die or how people are actually killed. This information is actually on the Michigan State Police website. And you can find the appropriate Excel sheet. Well, it's not, I believe it's the government site, but they have it for all the states. But long story short, you can actually look at the data. You look at the data there with regards to tracking long guns. Here in Michigan, we're treating them like they're the scourge, like they're public enemy number one. More people are killed with a knife, at least 10 times as much with a knife than you are with a long gun. You look at the stats, they're also disproportionate with respect to blunt objects like hammers and bludgeons. People are beaten to death more than people are killed with rifles. Actually, before we even look at controlling rifles as it relates to homicides, we need to tightly control knives, bricks, hammers, and blunt objects first. If we're doing it on the basis that they're used to commit homicides.
No, this is part of the new laws that just came out on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah, these.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm in the process of paying for a rifle that I started to buy before this, so it's not subjected to this.
Well, you're saying because
Wait,
you saying because you started the process?
Yes, I bought it, but I had it in layaway. So,
Well, I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, you haven't really bought it because you haven't paid for it.
okay.
And until you pay for it, until you pay for it, you can't then take possession and ownership of it.
Okay, so I might have another form to fill out when I go and pick it up today.
I can't say definitively, but you know what? I bet you that you will.
Okay, well, I will let you know what happens after today. Yeah.
We shall see.
Yes.
We
I'm
shall
curious
see.
now.
We shall see.
Okay.
Question, yes.
So, they were saying earlier about, my long guns that I had already, so.
You got some long guns? Okay. They still your long
So you still gotta
guns?
register everything?
No. You got long guns at the house. They your long guns. And
Okay, so my club mate is fine.
okay, it's fine.
But not my hand.
You have a handgun. Okay, if you already own a handgun, the handgun should have already been registered, right?
So.
Oh, wait. We're confessing to things. We did. Me and you can talk.
Let me just say this.
And I'll edit this out of the video. No. If you got some situations that are sensitive, we can have those conversations.
Okay, it's hypothetical.
That's not even gonna fly afterwards. Me and you will have a talk.
I just wanna
We will
understand.
talk.
We're in the house
We
of
will
the
talk.
Lord.
I just want to stuff I already
I
had.
think some people in the government don't like me as it is, but me and you will talk. Any other questions? Well, let me tell you this. It has been indeed my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to conduct this informational session. When I heard about these laws taking effect, I felt compelled to do something, to at least let people know who are interested and have a desire to learn this stuff and to put it out there and remove the excuse that you didn't know. Not only did you feel that something was lacking, you took the extra step to actually show up, register, and attend. And to that, I'm impressed by you all. You did something you didn't have to do because you felt that it was in your best interest to do so and to protect yourself against the government. Yeah, I know I'm sounding like a weirdo and a kook, but that's all right. It goes with the territory. I want to publicly thank Pastor Buddy for allowing us access to his church. He and I go back several years. He's a real good friend of mine, and I was very honored that he allowed me to use his church. Now, to be quite frank, he allowed me to use his church free of charge. So I haven't even talked to him, but I know we're in church. He's a pastor. He let us use church. Could we donate to the church something to him? I'm not putting $1 on it, but can we all contribute and donate something to Pastor Buddy for allowing us to be? He might be speechless like right there because he didn't know I was going to do this, and he did not expect me to do this. But no, I really feel that we should take up an offering amongst ourselves to give.
Right. It's entirely up to you all. It's certainly not warranted, but there's a little gold plate up there before you leave, and you just want to walk up there after we get done. That's fine, but it's not necessary, certainly.
Yeah, I'm going to put it.
We're in church. This is what happens in church.
Look, I'm in church. When in church, do what church people do. Yes.
Being on the NRA board, what organizations in Michigan do you find that you work with that are active and effective in Michigan? Is that Great Lakes gun rights, I think?
There are some gun rights organizations in the state. I'm familiar with some more than I am with others. Obviously, by being on the NRA's board of directors, I'm most familiar with the National Rifle Association. Now, having said that, I've been a gun rights advocate here in the state of Michigan for a very long period of time. Not bragging, just saying what it is. In 2008, one of those years, I was actually State of Michigan Gun Rights Advocate of the Year. I was bestowed that honor by MCRGO back several years ago. And so I've been very fortunate to have that recognition by MCRGO. MCRGO, by the way, is a huge sponsor of my women's free shooting event. They paid like the last three iterations of it. They contributed financially to pay for all the ammunition. So I have ties with MCRGO. I love those guys at MCRGO. I appreciate what they do, and I am beholden to them. I appreciate their support, and yes, when you see this, I want your support again this year. And I've had some affiliation and ties in the past with Michigan Open Carry. Michigan Open Carry has supported my women's event. I was doing Michigan Open Carry cookouts and protests and stuff back when there was a time in Michigan when if the police saw you open carrying, they would roust you, would bother you, harass you, put handcuffs on you, write you tickets, and then throw them away, and all sorts of crazy things the police were doing back then. And I was involved in a lot of the open carry cookouts, and I had a couple open carry cookouts back in the day on Belle Isle. And I would never do this by myself, but it was me and like 100 of us we out at Belle Isle, and we're all open carrying in Detroit. They didn't like us open carrying. And then you had Detroit police watching us, Michigan State police watching us, the federal government watching us, and they're video recording us and stuff, trying to intimidate us. But the whole thing was, it's legal and we have a right to do it. Just because you don't like it, so what? We're doing it at a public park and we're not creating a disturbance. So to answer that question, yeah, I have some deep ties with Michigan Open Carry, Michigan Gun Owners, MGO. I know a lot of guys there and they've supported me and I've supported them in the past. Any other gun rights organizations in the state, I'm not denigrating them, I'm not saying anything bad about them. I just haven't had any formal ties with them or activities with them. I can't say, I don't know them, they don't know me, it's that kind of thing. Well, what do you think of those guys? Are they good
I don't know,
groups? You like to support them? What's your feedback?
There's a Great Lakes.
I mean, I've heard of them, I just haven't had any
I
dealings
don't know,
with them.
that's why I'm asking. I don't get a lot of information. I've donated to them in the past because they're, only, I didn't really get a lot of information that, what they sent seemed like they were very active and proactive. But I didn't have data, so I haven't continued to donate on a regular basis. Just wondered who was the most, that you thought might be the most, effective.
Well, I don't want to go on the record and start saying some group is most effective and not effective, especially when I don't know. Just because I'm not familiar with someone does not in any way
the NRA
cast any.
with any of them to help support local stuff.
NRA does a lot of things with a lot of local gun organizations in respective states. As a matter of fact, some state associations in some states have a direct tie in terms of being affiliated, and every state doesn't have that type of affiliate relationship. Yes.
Question, it's off this.
Oh, since we're talking about the NRA, let me mention this.
Do your commercial.
Commercial. You want to hear my commercial? Here's my commercial. I'm on the NRA's board of directors. Last year, I was voted the 76th director. As such, I won a 1-year term to the board of directors. So now I am currently actively campaigning to be re-elected to the board of directors, this time for a full 3-year term. If you are an NRA eligible voter, you will receive a ballot in your designated magazine. Your next magazine literally will have a ballot on it. I'm asking you to look at that ballot, find my name, Rick Ector, pencil in that little circle next to it, correctly follow the instructions on addressing it. If you need to put postage on it, whatever you need to do to properly get that ballot to the accounting firm that's doing it, I am asking for your vote. Vote for Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, commercial's over. All right. Next question.
Okay.
Yes.
About locking your gun at home. Okay, you're carrying, and you go someplace and you see a sign you can't take your gun. So
Like a gun-free zone.
gun free zone. So now you gotta leave it in your car. I guess the locked car is safe enough for your gun.
Well, you have to have a locked compartment in your locked car.
So one of those.
Okay.
So I try to stay out of gun-free zones. Honestly, I swear to God, I do. If I can avoid going to a gun-free zone, I don't go. If I have to do stuff by mail, do it by mail. If I have to do it online, I'll do it online. I do not relish going into gun-free zones. For the simple fact, why? Because nobody there is responsible for my safety in there. There have been people attacked in public, in commercial establishments, on the street. If there's a private business that does not want me in their establishment because they have a no guns policy, I'm not required to not go in there. That's just their wishes. But if they happen to know that I'm likely to have a gun because my face is everywhere, right? Doing videos on YouTube, asking people to vote for me, NRA board of directors, they might see me, recognize me, and say, "Hey, Rick, get out of here." And you know what? I have to do that. If I don't do that, I'm subject to what?
Trespass.
Trespassing. And then I'm asking for trouble, and then I'm jeopardizing my CPL. Right? Did I answer the question? Okay.
Yes, we locked.
Yes. I went all the way from there to there.
I was following with you.
Wait. You caught me during a rant. Okay, I promise months, I'm gonna keep the rents to a minimum. Anything else? Any other questions?
So it should be in the case in the car.
Yeah.
Locked. Okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think the last time I heard it had to be locked in the glove compartment. Is it there?
If you have a CPL, the gun could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. Literally, anywhere.
And you were, and I think I remember you teaching this a long time ago.
Oh wait, so I must be old, y'all.
Even a
Okay.
wife, yeah, even a wife like sitting in the car and not having one of the CPLs.
Yeah, if you're in the car with your significant other and she doesn't have a CPL and you leave your gun in the compartment area with her, yeah, she's CCW. She could catch a 5-year felony. She could get a 5-year felony. CCW. Yeah. 5 years. 5 years.
See?
5 years. You know what? If there are any women married to a CPL holder or vice versa, any man without a CPL that's married to a CPL holder and needs a CPL to avoid this conundrum, this situation, I know a firearms instructor who's teaching the class a week from tomorrow, February 25th, who would be honored to teach you next Sunday on the 25th. LegallyArmedInDetroit.com. Tell you what, if you're ready, I'll sign you up right now. Don't blink. Let's do it, huh?
It's on E-Course Road, is that what you said?
The class that I'm doing on the 25th, it's over at Recoil Firearms on Ecourse Road.
You just took a guess.
Yes.
But
You
is
probably
that
looked
the
at my
one-
blog.
Is that the one you're talking about on Sunday?
That's the one I'm teaching next
A
Sunday.
week from tomorrow.
What's that?
A week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow, on the 25th.
Right.
You want to sign up? Let's get you signed up.
We already had this discussion.
What?
Okay.
I'm James Lopes.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but
Now,
I checked that
She
one.
does.
You want to sign up?
You gonna go with?
Yeah.
Give me some
I
money.
already signed up.
We got to get her signed up.
She can't be in the car if I have a CPL.
If you have a CPL, she can be in the car. However, if you're about to go in a gun-free zone and you're going to stick your car right there and say, honey, I'll be right back. Once you get out of the car, she's in the car with the gun, she's CCW, and she's guilty of a felony.
But why wouldn't I take, I can't take it because it's a gun-free zone.
Right.
All
So
right.
I'm not gonna get me a rest.
All right.
So yeah, we got to get you signed up for the class on next Sunday. 24th.
One question on the
Yes, sir.
long gun. When it says not including NFA items, is that assault rifles?
NFA is a whole classifications of guns that the ATF in its infinite wisdom does not feel is a regular, typical garden variety firearm, right? These are things that they feel are inordinately special, and to own and possess them, you need special, super duper authorization to get it. But if you can pass a background check, buy a tax stamp, and submit the required paperwork, you'll get one. People who get things like silencers, well, they're not silencers, suppressors. Well, instead of you going bang, it'll go bang.
So the assault rifles would
It's
probably
not
be-
pew pew like in the movies.
The assault rifles would probably be in those categories.
No, it's not.
No?
No.
Are they new
Assault
laws?
rifle is just a rifle.
All right.
Just a
So there's
rifle, that's all
no
it
special
is.
laws that have come into effect.
They
on
try to
assault
control
rifles
the
like you're
language.
talking about.
Once they control the language, you know, they'll tell you that this scary semi-automatic rifle is so dangerous that you'll believe that it operates like a fully operated firearm, and it's not. I mean, they both are dangerous. Don't get me wrong. They're just trying to confuse you. That's why you have to know the nomenclature for yourself.
Going
Yes.
back to the gun-free zone, let's say you go to the store, you gotta go into the store, gotta do whatever, it's a gun-free zone.
Wait. When you say it's a gun-free zone, is it is it a gun-free zone by statute, or is it a gun-free
Well, let's
zone
say by-
merely by sign?
Right, let's say.
That's not in the statute.
Let's go by statute.
Okay, by
That way, you
statute.
know, you cannot go in, but you need to go in and do what you gotta do. Let's say you go to the courthouse.
Oh yeah, don't take a gun to court.
You don't go into court.
Don't do that.
But no,
No. If you get anything out of today, do not take a gun to court.
I understood.
No, we're sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's say you go in there, but you know you can't take it in.
Right.
Leave it in the car. There's nobody else in the car but Ed.
Okay.
You don't have to have the box for that, right? Only if somebody's in the vehicle.
long as
Or
nobody
only
steals
if
the
you're
car.
not-
Well, here's the thing. This new storage law,
Okay.
Right.
if somebody breaks into your car and you didn't have it properly secured by the statute, you have it in a box, right? And put it in your trunk.
Don't you have to have it, if it's not on you, if it's in your car, you have to have it locked?
Yeah, secure.
Yeah.
What if you disassemble it? Is that secure?
You what?
You could disassemble it, but you know what? As a matter of fact,
I mean, if you take
as
it
a
off
matter
the
of fact,
components apart.
that's one of the methods of transporting a rifle in your vehicle to begin with, right? Right? It's like 5 things, and I think like 3 or 4 of them have to apply. Like it has to be unloaded, unloaded, disassembled, in a case, with a lock, and it's another 5th thing. And you can pick any 3 out of 5, right?
And the ammo has to be separate.
And the ammo separate, yeah. Man, I'm telling you, it's all up there.
But what about the storage? If they come and raid you, if the gun is taken completely apart and it's not in a safe with minors in the house, can they take them? Because at that
Well,
point,
if
it's not a gun.
I don't know.
It's taken apart.
I don't know. You know, here's the thing. Maybe we're getting philosophical. When is a gun not a gun, right? If I disassemble it, is it now not a gun?
They're just pieces.
They're pieces.
The MCL, whatever the MCL says.
You know what?
You know how to put it back?
You know what? I'm going to look into that and give you a definitive answer.
Very good.
I think I know it, but I don't want to just, send you off because I know your family. Your family will hunt me down and find me and hurt me. If you get in trouble with what I told you. I know those guys. They're big and ugly. You tell them I said that. They're big and ugly. You tell them I said that.
He'll be watching it.
Yes.
I had that discussion with our friend Pat, and he said it's either the upper or the lower is not a gun.
I'll get with that.
Yeah.
Handle.
Is the upper or the lower is not a gun.
I'll get with that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I just want clarification on the one thing that I try to make an issue on. And maybe you can give me the answer to it without the attorney here.
What's up?
When they had this meeting with the Crumleys, the counselor had just sent the email.
See, I didn't watch that whole
All right,
trial like you
I'll
did.
fill you in on it, because I think I understand.
Wait, because this sounds like it's going to be a thing, right? So let me do this.
No, let me.
No, let me do it. What I want to do is this.
Let me ask the question, you can decide if you know the answer.
Okay, we'll do that.
The counselor was the one that organized the meeting. He sent the email to the mother at
Okay.
work with the picture of the geometry, guns, blood all over, all that kind of thing. He sent it just to the wife. The dad had no clue. He was Ubering, all right? So he couldn't get any information anyways. But the question is, the counselor and the dean, in my opinion, were negligent because did you know that when they brought the shooter from his class to the meeting, they summons them. You got to come to this meeting. We're going to have your parents here. He left his backpack in that class with the gun in it. He already had the gun. All right. The dean went to that class to receive his backpack when the bell rang at the end of the period, so nobody would walk out with his belongings, because the kids were still under lockdown. November of 21, they couldn't use lockers because of COVID. So everything they owned
You
was in the
promised
backpack.
me this is going to be a quick question.
All right. Everything was in the backpack.
Let me do this.
Were they, are you asking, were they legally able to search his backpack?
Let me do this. Let me take care of everybody, and me and you, I swear to God, I will not leave
until I at least hear you out and give you my best.
Absolutely.
Man, you went so far, I forgot all the other stuff you said.
Or, in a simple nutshell, are you asking, did the school have the right to search his backpack?
Right,
Absolutely, they did.
with the parents there.
Yes, without.
Without
them.
them.
All right, y'all taking off.
Without, doesn't matter. If Groucho Marx was sitting there, they can still search his backpack. What?
The counselor testified
Yeah.
that it's by law, I couldn't look at his backpack.
But he had the
That's
right to.
absolutely wrong.
He testified.
That's what
And
his
it's
testimony
wrong.
was, but it was inaccurate.
I can testify that I had.
I
apple
didn't
juice
bring
this
any
morning.
cash.
No
I'm
worries,
so
brother. No
sorry.
worries. Thank you
It's-
for coming. Thank you
Oh,
for coming.
They
Thank
have
you for
every
opening
right
up
to
your
search
shirt.
that backpack.
I worked for a school district for 33 years.
The dean is not an attorney.
The behavior of Dean, he said it's by law. We
No,
cannot
the
look
dean
at
is not an
that.
attorney.
He can say
The
whatever he
dean is
wants.
wrong.
I worked for a school district for 33 years. We searched lots of kids anytime we wanted.
Yeah. You have absolutely no expectation of Fourth Amendment.
God bless you,
privacy
sis.
or minor-
Be safe. Be safe.
None.
None.
Absolutely none.
Then
They can
what-
turn out your
then
pockets.
what possessed him not